Good evening. I'm going to call the Governance and Finance and Governance Committee to order for November the 12th, 2024. Madam Clerk, roll call and posting of the agenda.
Councilmember Basua?
Here.
Councilmember Tehran?
Here.
Chair Zaragoza?
Here.
And Chair Zaragoza, just for the record, Member Tehran will be joining us virtually via Zoom today.
Thank you. He's in Alaska, I think.
And the posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted at City Hall Bulletin Board on November 5th, 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please join me to salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Our next item is item B. And Madam Clerk, I see one speaker that we have, Mr. Libby, under public comments. Is he available?
Mosh Levy?
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Yes, thank you. Please go ahead. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, we have a job, we are a contractor, we awarded a job, PW 2029, about almost 2 years and something. Our job is supposed to be 90 days, and the facility decided to change and did not have a plan. They asked, what to do some scale above ground, but they used to be above ground. They asked us to put below ground. And the job has been delayed to almost 2 years for plans and stuff like that. Last year, on 2023, they stopped our work for no reason. They didn't tell us what's going on. All we hear, there are a lot of mistakes and blah, blah. We, on our end, got everything approved by the city. They signed whatever we've done. On March 24, we received a letter from Mrs. Macron, the assistant, I think, attorney for the city, and she canceled our contract for convenience. They sent us a termination for convenience, and they asked us within 30 days to evacuate the place with all our stuff, which we've done, and they asked us to send a final bill. We sent a final bill, which is about 2 million, close to 2 million, around that, a bit less. And then she replied, and then no contact, and I had to hire a lawyer to have somebody to get some attention. And she kept promising my lawyers she'd get an answer within certain time, and we never did. And that process took until October. Tried to reach her to get some word from her, what is going on and why they are not responding to our letter. They didn't respond anything, not even denying it, approving it, none, zero. So finally, my lawyers, I'll tell her, hey, UK is ready to hire a lawyer because and go for lawsuit. And finally, she sent us the retention because she told her, it's 2% per month. And you guys, were not allowed to hold any retention by the code. And she released the retention without any money to us. You hold it for almost 10 months. And I sent her a letter, and we asked her, please, let's sit down and negotiate. Let's sit down. We don't want to go to court. We
30
don't
seconds.
Escalate that. Yes, ma'am.
30 seconds. You have 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. So basically, all I'm asking you to intervene and avoid to go to court, review our paper, and let us know what is your position. That's all I'm asking. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Levy. I'd just like to share with you that we cannot go into any detailed discussion on this item or take any action on this item, but you can contact our staff on this matter. Thank you.
Okay, so do I have to wait until they hear for someone?
Yeah, we cannot. This item is not on the agenda, so you'll have to discuss it with our staff. Thank you so much.
So
Thank you. Okay, our next item is Item C is consent item, and the item is approval of the minutes from city clerks, and recommendation of the Finance and Governance Committee approve the minutes of September 24, 2024, regular meeting.
I'll move the recommendation.
Moved by Basua, second by Charan.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Member Basua,
Aye.
Member Turan,
Yes.
Chair Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Our next item is, this is a report from the Finance Department. Subjects AB 1600, Annual Report for Development Impact and in lieu fees for fiscal year ending June 30, 24. Recommendation that the Finance Governance Committee recommend that the City Council receive and file the AB 1600 Annual Report for Development Impact and in lieu fees for fiscal year ending June 30, 24. And the presentation is going to be live, and we have Javier, we're going to have a live presentation on this item.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilmember Pasua, Councilmember Tran. We have our consultant, Connie 5, online to present the report to the Finance Committee. This is an annual obligation that the city has to report this, the status of these fees through the Mitigation Fee Act. Last year, we presented a 5-year, there's another requirement to present of a 5-year report that we did that last year. Now we can just wait for the next 4 years to present the next 5-year report, but we still have an obligation to present an annual report, and Connie will be doing that.
Connie, go ahead. Connie, welcome.
Okay, thank you. Can you all hear me all right?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm not sure if the presentation is up, but I could share my screen. Javier, is the presentation up or should I share?
Could you please share your screen?
Okay, perfect. Will do. Okay, can you all see my screen? Okay, I'm gonna put it on slideshow mode. Perfect. Okay. Can you all see the presentation clearly, or is it taking up the full screen?
We see your presentation with the presenter side of the...
In the presenter mode. Okay, let me share the... Okay, is it still, it's good now? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you all again for having me here this year to present on the AB 1600 annual report. Like Javier said, it is an annual requirement that we present the information for the previous fiscal year on impact fees and in lieu fees. Like Chair Zaragoza mentioned, our recommendation is that the Finance and Governance Committee recommend that the City Council receive and file the AB 1600 annual report for development impact and in lieu fees for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024. This information may seem a bit repetitive because we have to come every year, but it is just a good refresher to understand what the requirements of AB 1600 is and are. And also October 11, 2023, AB 516 was passed that expanded on some of these requirements. So AB 1600 is commonly known as the Mitigation Fee Act, and it requires the city to file a report annually summarizing the following information: a brief description of the type of fee in the account or fund, the amount of the fee, beginning and ending balance in the account or fund, amount of fees collected and the interest earned during the previous year, an identification of each public improvement for which fees were expended and the amount of expenditures, including the total percentage of the cost of the public improvement that was funded by the fees, an identification of an approximate date by which the construction of public improvements will commence. This is a new requirement. If it was different than last year's approximation, a reason why the change of date occurred. Description of each interfund transfer or loan made from the account. and then also an identification of any refunds made. And then a new addition is if any refunds were made, the number of persons or entities that received the refunds. Like Javier mentioned, every 5 years, the city is also required to file a report summarizing additional information. So that's the purpose of the fee, and also demonstrate a reasonable relationship between the fee and the purpose for which it is charged, identifying all sources and amounts of funding anticipated to complete financing of any incomplete improvements, and then also the approximate dates for which the funding will be expected to be deposited into the account to finish those projects. The last AB 1600 5-year report was done for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. So the city is good until June 30th, 2028. And that time, the city will complete another 5-year report to identify these additional findings. So these are the impact fee funds and also in lieu fee funds that the city currently collects. We will be going through each individual one and identifying some key improvements that these funds will be funding. So we will jump right into it. The first set of fees could be classified as government funds. And these are the park acquisition and development fee, the storm drain facility fee, the traffic circulation fee, the capital growth fee, which is split between residential and non-residential, the mobility fee, and the public program art fee. This is very numbers heavy slide, but the breakdown is in the report. If there are any concerns, we could go over questions at the end, but this is just an overall summary of the government funds. The next summary is the utility funds, and these are the water resource development fee, the water capital facility charge, and the wastewater collection and connection and treatment fee. And the next summary jumps into the in lieu fees, which are the affordable housing in lieu fee and the utility undergrounding in lieu fee. So these were just a summary of the starting balance, revenues, expenses, transfers in and out, and then ending balance, which is in more detail broken out by each fund in the report. We will jump into each fund and go through the fund balance and the projects that are funded. I won't go through each and every single project that is listed because you can see it for yourself in the report and also on the slides, but we just want to present that information to you publicly, that what is the fund balance, what's the funding and anticipated future projects that will be funded through these fees. So the first one is the park and recreation fee, which has a fund balance of about 1.8 million. And you'll see some of the projects are the Cabrillo Neighborhood Park, the skate park, campus park, and listed are the approximate construction start date from last year's report, if it was revised, the new one, and then the reason why, and then the financials of each of the projects as well. The next fee is the storm drain facility fee, which has a fund balance of about $10.75 million. And listed on the slide are the future projects that are anticipated to be used or are currently using those funds. Next is the traffic circulation fee, which has a fund balance of $20.69 million. This is a large fund balance, but as you can see, there's a lot of projects that are using funds from this fee that is vital for funding traffic circulation projects to serve the growth of the city. The next one is the growth requirement capital fee, and this one's the residential portion of it. The residential portion of this fee has a fund balance of $2.1 million. It is currently funding the Fire Station 4 rebuild design phase, the Fire Station 235 design phase, and is paying off bond payments for the Civic Center Phase 2 project. The non-residential fee component of this fee is also funding the Fire Station 4 rebuild and bond payments. It has a fund balance of almost $2.6 million. The next fee is the mobility fee. This is a little newer fee. It has a fund balance of 1.28 million, and the CIP team is working and has identified projects that this fee will be funding certain portions, like the safe route, safety enhancements, and the other two projects listed here. The next fee is the public art program fee. It has a fund balance of 1.26 million. The community services department is working with finance and the CIP team on identifying and utilizing the funds in this fund program. Now we're jumping into the utility fees. The first being the water resource development fee, has a fund balance of $20.4 million. It has many projects listed that have anticipated use for the funding, and the CIP team is working on additional projects. Next is the water capital facility charge, which has almost $1.8 million in the fund balance. As you can see, there's a lot of projects or large funding expenditures, future funding expenditures for this fund in the projects that are anticipated to be funded by this fee. The next is the wastewater connection fee, which has fund balance of $17.18 million. There's some listed projects there as well that shows that there are sufficient projects that are needed to be funded by this fee program. So now we're going into the in lieu projects, the in lieu fees, which the first being the affordable housing in lieu fee. It has a fund balance of $2.7 million. The affordable housing projects, as you know, are long-term projects. They have multiple stakeholders, many competing priorities, many ducks have to align to get a project started. So but the affordable housing team, the CIP team, and the finance team are aware of this fund balance and are making sure that they are identifying projects to be used by this fund. Next is the utility, last but not least, is the utility undergrounding in lieu fee, which has a fund balance of $1.8 million. And the CIP team is actively working on identifying utility projects to use this fee on. And that is it. I know this was a lot of information. The report is a hefty 57 pages, but if you had time to review it and have any questions, now would be a great time to ask.
So Connie or
Yes.
our finance director, so this is in the annual report, and the summary is going to be a 5-year report. We had one in 23 for the 5-year,
Yes.
and another one in 2028. One of the things that I mentioned, I read here, was that at the end of the 5 years, or if you have a fund balance, that money has to be refunded. Is that correct? Connie?
It's nuanced. The 5-year report is, if you have a fund balance, you just need to be able to show and explain why there is a balance and what projects are going to be funded from that fund balance. It's essentially any funds that are held in excess of 5 years. So it was collected prior to the 5 years and it still hasn't been expended. The report has to show why it hasn't been expended, and if there are certain projects that are still earmarked for those funds, to disclose what they are so that the public is aware that the city is holding the money, but there are projects that money is going to be used for.
So we can carry it over, then, is what it amounts to.
Yes, as long as there are projects, valid projects that the funds will be going to, you can hold it over excess of 5. But the AB 1600 reports just want to make sure that the city has identified projects and isn't just holding on to them.
And the other question I have was, initially, if I read that correctly, that it used to be every 5 years, and now the governor changed it to every year, subject to the summary at 5 years. Is that correct?
No, so it's always been every year.
Okay.
It's just the 5-year report is just a little bit more details.
More detail, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, council members, any other questions? Councilman Basu?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. A few questions. In the last 5 years, has any money, have it not been spent? Or has all the money been allocated to new projects in the last 5 years?
Javier?
Javier, do you want me to take that?
Yeah, so if I understand, the question is if in the last 5 years we
Yeah.
have refund?
Yes, so there are projects within this report that there still has been no projects assigned to them. So in the last 5 years, have we had monies that have just been sitting there waiting for projects?
Right now, all the funds have been assigned. They have identified projects for monies that are older than 5 years.
Okay, so the projects that do not have anything assigned to them yet, the monies, the funds, and the President Center said that staff is working on getting some of those projects, like the in lieu fees, is that one of them?
Yes.
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 So when will we see staff come back with projects for that, for those specific categories that currently have no projects in them?
So this report we have to present every year. So at least once a year we're going to have the opportunity to present this report and update. And
I think
Michael
Michael
is
has
here.
Yeah.
additional information.
Can elaborate on that as well.
Good afternoon, Michael Wolf, Director of Public Works. So the in lieu fee, I think there's two of them, is housing and underground utilities. We actually have a CIP project that was approved by the Council for Utilities. So that is not a category that does not have an assigned project.
Right.
So the only ones I can think of is maybe the housing component, but I don't know the answer to that one since it's not in my area of responsibility.
Maybe Ashley might be able to help us in that. Our Assistant City Manager.
So the housing is one that will not be in the CIP, but we do have projects that come in, we come to council and allocate it on a project basis. So because this report looks back a year and that fund comes in as people pay into it, it's not something where we necessarily know the fund balance. We do program it more on a year-to-year basis or as projects. So we do have a project in the works that's like another $600,000 that will come to council. So you'll see that in your next report. But there's not ones where we build up a big fund balance, but in the real estate transactions as was presented, they're cyclical, and they kind of move quickly. So we come as the projects come and you'll see it the next year in the report.
Okay, thank you. And I also just want to have a quick comment. I want to make sure I give kudos to Parks, Recreation. I see that they have excelled in wasting all the money in lieu for murals and all that good stuff.
That's right.
So I just want to make sure that I let them know that, they're doing a good job on spending the money that is coming in.
Good, thank you. Councilman Tehran?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Councilwoman Basua had similar questions to what I had, just as far as any of our funds that had large fund balances. And I did have time to go over the report. It's one of the benefits of spending multiple hours in an airport. And so just a couple questions, and this is probably more follow-up now that we had a response from staff that, in an annual report, when this comes back, in a year, we should see some changes in the ones that had large fund balances. But I would like to follow up with staff as time goes on here and maybe even bring it back to this committee if we could maybe get a half-year report on progress for some of the ones that had larger fund balances so we can see where we were. And also kudos to all of our programming that has taken this funding and used it in really effective ways in our community. And seeing some of the art ones jumped out at me as well. But that was just a request I had just as a follow-up to Councilwoman Basua's questions, just if we can, even though the mandate is an annual report and then we have the every 5-year one, if we could get just an informal update maybe halfway through the year on where we are with just the ones that have large balances.
Okay, I'm sure the staff heard that, So any additional questions? If not, Javier, thank you. Connie, thank you, our consultant. I'm not here. And,
Chair, we do not have any speakers on this item virtually or in person.
Thank you. And Mr. Public Works Director, any additional comments? We're good? Okay, need a motion?
Chair, this is a receive and file.
But we gotta send it to City Council, right? Okay, let me see, receive and file, the finance report.
You're recommending that the council,
Recommend it to, yeah,
so it is a vote.
it is a vote, yeah. So we need motion.
I will
to-
move the recommended action.
Okay, first by Pessoa, second by Councilman Tehran.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Member Basua,
Aye.
Member Tehran,
Yes.
Chair Zaragoza.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
thank you. Okay, next item, any future agenda items other than what we requested, for this item? Anything else? Okay, so if not, then we are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you. Mhm.